not a YouTuber, just like making videos. You know, this might be my last video or whatever. It's become purposeless, fruitless for me. You know what I'm saying? And plus, there ain't really much more I can do anymore. You know what I'm saying? I already made my rebuttals. I said people won't give me a proper debate. You know, they'll talk about how much money I got or if I'm a female or not and so forth. You know what I'm saying? My views are slipping, you know, and it seems like, you know, I just released a video about Clive and Bundy got horrible views because everybody's worried about, you know, Clifton Rainey and so forth. I'm like, it's getting worse. But you know, I always wanted to do a video about this concept of a matriarch. You know what I'm saying? Matriarch society, because people constantly talk about the black communities ran like a matriarch, and I want to clear up the conceptions. Now, I'm not completely oblivious to the angle they're trying to get at, you know, and so forth, but still we have to make sure the listeners have a clear understanding, because you know there's a lot of dipsy people out there, and they may get they wouldn't know the difference between a matriarch from a monarch to an oligarch. But I was listening to the TRS show the last couple of nights, and they had Sergeant Willie P on there, and he was talking about how the black communities ran like a matriarch. And you know, I wanted to talk to him. I wanted to see them debate with him about that. But you know what I'm saying? They had. I know that Peter did not stay the duration of the show, and they'll always have these same dudes constantly talking and yapping, you know, like all facts. And the thing is with me, when I'm talking to these blog, when I, you know, call into these blog talk radio shows, I say my piece and I keep it moving. You know what I mean? There ain't no need to just hang on the phone and just try to monopolize the whole damn show. So it got very tiresome. But you know what I'm saying? I just noticed a whole lot of fallacies in his ideologies and so forth. But let's go into it. What is a matriarch? Well, the definition is females ran the household, and females also own the property, you know what I'm saying, and have power in the government, you know, and I can understand where they get at, you know what I'm saying, putting the black community under this label, but you know, we know if the black communities ran like a matriarch, it's by default, you know what I'm saying, because the dude is not there, you know, the dude's off running around somewhere else, and we know that these black women don't own property like that, nor do they have power over the government and, you know what I'm saying, the politics. But still, the term matriarch is not in parallel to a patriarch. You know what I'm saying? They think it's opposite. You know, no, it's more of it means more of a egalitarian society or whatever, where men and women are equal. You know, women have an equal say, and sometimes that means that she may get into a powerful position, but doesn't mean that the men are going to sit under her and be oppressed. Now, ultimately, the black communities ran like a patriarch because the white man runs it. You know, and I keep trying to say that people keep talking about the black community this, the black community that, as we really truly have power when the white police can just come down and shut down the whole damn block to show us that we don't have any power. So hence, and you know what I'm saying, a patriarch. And you know what I'm saying, no, to me, if you know what I'm saying, if the white man goes away or whatever, then yeah, the black woman, you know what I'm saying, by their concepts would lose all her power, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, her base. Now, you know what I'm saying, when talking about a matriarch, we need to get a clear definition of what it is, and then we need to go back in history. And you know, Peter should go back in history and use examples of matriarchal societies and compare them to, you know what I'm saying, how the black community is ran. You know, hence people getting a clear understanding. You know, because a lot of people are getting these terms, you know what I'm saying, and feminism confused. First of all, let me say this. Just because a female rejects you does not make her a feminist. And in the black community, people are yelling feminist. Now, they don't know what these terms mean. They don't know how to define them. And the thing is, in a black community, yes, you have a lot of loose women, women having these kids, you know what I'm saying, children having children, even though in tribal societies, women have had children as young as 11, you know what I'm saying, it was considered completely normal. But, you know what I'm saying, that's not feminism. You know, because I look, there's just certain dudes that, you know, they're just in the hood that still have power, still have women being weak at their knees. Just because a female wants to just latch herself onto the system and not try in life does not make her a feminist. And as I've stated before, that the fact that the man is absent, you know, that doesn't exactly make it a matriarch, or it will be by default. You know, back in the days, they used to have this thing called shotgun weddings. You know what I'm saying? White people used to have them. You know, when a dude got a dame knocked up or whatever, her father used to have a forced marriage by shotgun, because it's the negative connotations to single motherhood, about how they used to look at them as you know, whores and harlots or whatever. And even still, the man ran away, you know what I mean? They still, like, it was a marriage. You see what I mean? And I don't know, maybe we need to go do that back in the black community and so forth. But, you know what I'm saying? But if a man wanted to open up a neighborhood, or open up a business in a black community, can a female stop him? No. Does he have to sit there in a panel full of females and they determine where he opens up his business or whatever? No. The black women don't control the politics in the neighborhood. She only controls the household because the man ain't there. You know, and we have to, and still, in the so-called black community, there's households where the man is there. And we need to go and have a consensus or whatever, and see that in this household where the man is, that does the female rule? Does the man lay their dorsal? You see what I mean? Because they're in some households, men are there. The men aren't exactly absent from every household. Now I understand when you're dealing with subsidized housing, that's different. You know, the projects. But I'm talking about regular houses in the hood where men are in charge, where women are still housewives. You know what I'm saying? They exist, whether the media, you know, and the maelstrom acknowledge it or not. So you have to go to each household in the black community where there's a man there who works, and you say, who runs this household? Do you or her? Does she make decisions? Or the household could be ran like an egalitarian and so forth. Or, you know what I'm saying, the man and the woman both work, both equal, and both, you know what I'm saying, are split in making the decisions. I know, you know what I'm saying, in the household that I was ran, you know what I'm saying, it was ran by my dad, you know what I'm saying, ran by a man. I'm saying, even though I've talked about the society, I grew up as an army brat. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to go into why my dad joined the army, you know, U.S. Army. But he used to say that the U.S. Army stands for Uncle Sam ain't released me yet. But in this military house, you know what I'm saying, I grew up in, yeah, men ruled. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely a patriarch. You know, and at the time, 30% of the military housing that I lived in were blacks. So yeah, you know, and I understand that a lot of these guys' bitterness. Some of these guys, you know what I'm saying, come from the projects or whatever, and they, you know, they're come from a single mother home, and their friends were single mothers, and they've seen these women, you know, at the head of the household by default or whatever, and they see the dudes walking around and not taking responsibility and so forth. But you know what I'm saying, you know, like you gotta, you know what I'm saying, blame both parties. Because my thing is like this, it's almost like the powers that be gave the black man and the black woman an ultimatum. You know what I'm saying? The black man can, you know what I'm saying, can bear his fruit or whatever, you know what I'm saying, or drop off his seed, and you know what I'm saying, and not be and not have the pressures you know what I'm saying, of raising a family. You know what I'm saying? He can go off and do what he wants, and our society doesn't look down, don't frown upon this. That's the main thing. We should frown. You know, these dudes walking around who got, 19 kids or whatever. We should frown upon that when we dang near congratulate them. And we know what a lot of these guys do. I've seen. I'm like, come on, man. I see guys that literally says, "Oh, I want that woman to have my child," or whatever. That doesn't mean that this dude, wants to create a life with this woman, but he want to mark his territory. Like Biggie Smalls said in his song, "I see some females in this club tonight. She should be having my baby." Doesn't mean that I'm gonna, marry them. You know what I'm saying, and have a happy home, a house with a picket fence. Just means that they should be having my baby, and so forth. So we get this clear understanding that a black man who even lives in a black area, let's say he's a single black man, there's no way a female can stop. I'm using simple terms right now, but there's no way a female can contrive his goals or whatever. That if this black man do want to go out here and help the community, that that black females will be behind him. Whatever, he want to go up and start his own youth center or whatever, or start his own business or whatever. And we know that the churches, the majority of these churches are ran by men, and the black church has a lot of power in the community. Yes, there are churches where it has a female head pastor or reverend or whatever. But yeah, so in the black community, we see black men, even when you go into these hustlers and these ballers and these shot callers, they have a lot of power. A lot of these black men, they just didn't want to be hemmed down with the responsibilities of a family. Why should they? When they can go off and get this person pregnant, this person pregnant, this person pregnant, or whatever, and it won't be looked frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm trying to think of the word, but you know what I'm saying? His reputation, you know what I'm saying? It won't look bad for his rep, whatever. And the white community, they may look at things differently. But hence, people look at the black community as dysfunctional anyway. And going into a matriarchal society, that in the history, as I've said, that it wasn't. I think about the movie The Wicker Man. You ever seen that movie with Nicolas Cage? Yeah, it was it was a silly movie, but it was a remake of an old, I think, Michael Caine movie or whatever. I could have that wrong. But in this movie, Nicolas Cage go off into some island off the coast of New England that is dominated by women, and where men are oppressed. You know what I'm saying? And the men like they walk around defeated with their shoulders slumped, like Al Bundy. Men weren't even talking. You know what I'm saying? The men couldn't even look a woman in the eye. The men were only used for menial labor and picking up heavy objects. But the women ruled over them with an iron fist. Interesting movie. The best part of that movie is when Nicolas Cage jacked this woman's bike with a handgun. But yeah, that's the black community is you know what I'm saying, nowhere near on that level. As I've stated before, when I look at these hustlers or whatever who have these women and so forth, and then there's plenty of reverends, there's plenty of Muslims that have I would say submissive wives, going by whatever your definition of submissive was. As I think about I guess they can't get women, or they're angry at women, or what they're saying is coming from a dark place. And they feel that, and they look at these videos that all these women are crabby and got loud mouths and so forth. And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of bitterness, and they're messing up their own emotions are attached to their rhetoric. And the same thing with a lot of these black women, you know what I'm saying, that gripe about black men. You know what I'm saying? A lot of their opinions are coming from a dark place. You know what I'm saying? And I have to understand that, you know what I'm saying, are these guys good representatives? Are they thinking with a clever, you know what I'm saying, level head? You know what I'm saying? Are they letting their own personal experience dictate their emotions? Like, hence with me, I say a lot of harsh statements against white people, and I admit a lot of it may come from a dark place, and I will admit that. So hence, but with white people it's different, because a lot of it comes from me reading history books and finding out, you know what I'm saying, stuff that should have been told to me a long time ago in school. Now, a black female has never really just held me down, or you know what I mean, or caused really too much catastrophe in my life. And now these dudes are trying to divert attention, detour attention from white supremacy to the black woman. And they don't want to admit that, you know what I'm saying, they may not be qualified to speak on it because they're letting their own personal emotions cloud their judgment. So hence, if I was going to speak on a panel and we can debate white supremacy, and somebody may point at me and say, hey, what you're saying comes from a dark place, you're disqualified, and I will agree with them. So hence, if I can agree my stance against white supremacy is coming from a better place, why can't a lot of people agree that their stance on the whole gender war is, you know what I'm saying, it's coming from a place of resentment due to personal experience? Alright, that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching, and Sally forth.